Hey gang, Will here from the Ashland Fly Shop with a fishing report for you for the 1st of June. We're just going to hop right into our backyard stream, the Rogue River. Man, we love the Rogue River, and what can we say about the Upper Rogue? It just has this wonderful steelhead run, you know, for most of the year, and then as a real bonus, for a few weeks at this time of year, we get this awesome salmon fly, stonefly hatch, which is one of the handful of places in the western states that has it. And it just never disappoints. It's just an amazing thing to be a part of and fish. You know, when you can cast these enormous dry flies for hungry trout, and it's just a really special time up here. And it's just been that way this year. The fishing's been really outstanding. The flows are great. They're about 2,000, which is a bit lower than we've seen in the last couple years. So that's pretty nice as we go through the hatch. We'll talk about kind of the upper river in general. We've been fishing a lot of people up there. We've had people in boats the last week and a half since the May 22nd opener, and everyone's just been doing great. We've had a couple little cold snaps that have sort of put the bugs down a bit, and we are seeing the bugs sort of peter out in some sections of the river, like around the Rogue Elk area, and we're seeing most of the activity now from the hatchery down through Rogue Elk, but lots of really good fishing happening, lots of really good evening fishing. Looks like we have a good strong week of weather ahead of us, some nice warm temps, which will really get those bugs working. So it's been really exceptional. A lot of really good feedback, a lot of really good fishing happening. And that's just all dry fly fishing, all large dry fly fishing out there. We're catching, beautiful cutthroat in there, resident rainbows. A handful of resident rainbows that are up there are really willing to play. And we always get some early summer steelhead at this time, and we're seeing a few of those too, which is just insane to get one of those on a 5-weight on a dry. It's outrageous. It's hard to target them, but they do come up for those. So, and we'll talk about the holy water section, which is the last piece. That's the catch and release piece of water that's above the hatchery and below the dam. And that is where the bulk of the activity will now be happening from now into the next like 10 days or 2 weeks. And it's been great. We've seen some really quality fish come out of there. If you're familiar with that stretch, it's not a big water, so you will see some people up there. It's hard to say, weekends could be busy, a Wednesday could be busy, but there is a lot of quality fishing to do up there, and I suggest you get into it. And like I've said, it can be a real surprise. You can go out in the morning and have great fishing up there because the fish have seen the flies. They're on them. So you might not have as wide open fishing as you might have when there's a lot of bugs out, but it's worth trying some different times. And I always suggest that. Try different times, go up, have some different sessions at different times of day, whether the bugs are there or not. Create that good fishing for yourself. You can't just go up there once or twice and think that you're going to get some outstanding fishing, although you very well could. So that's what we're seeing on the Rogue. That's what we're doing, and we're just having an absolute blast. So if you have any questions about that, you can feel free to give us a call.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about Stillwater fishing a little bit. That is another really good option right now that's right out the back door. The high mountain lakes have probably got another few weeks before they get a little warm and really start to turn off. Hyatt Lake, Howard Prairie, I think would still be a pretty good bet. We've gotten some really good feedback from people fishing up there, and I think Klamath Lake is really a place that you want to start spending some time if you're a Stillwater fisherman. Also Diamond Lake, a lot of folks fish diamond from the valley here, and it's off to a very good start. I've heard some really good reports, some very high quality fish, which it typically is this time of year. Sometimes we can have some down cycles, but it sounds like it's been quite good up there. And so if you really enjoy Stillwater fishing, that's a really good place to go right now. But those would be my top bets, unless you wanted to continue further up, the Cascade Highway and get to some of the mountain lakes up that way. But those right out the back door are really worth looking at. Klamath River continues to be a bit of a difficult one to pin down. The flows are back down now to a good height. They're around 2,000. We've had some very good fishing down there in the first 10 days of June or so into the middle of June. Once we get warm weather, we do start to see those temps of the river come up, and we really try to stay away from fishing down there when those temps get too high, which happens quickly on the Klamath. I think it's worth poking around and going looking. There should be some golden stones down there. There should be some handful of salmon flies. They have a few more goldens than we do up here, and I think it would be worth a look. It's a little hard to leave the Rogue and go down there, but it's a real change of scenery, and it's a lot quieter down there on the upper Klamath. And again, this is the stretch from Iron Gate down to about Klamath on Bridge, and this is another run and gun salmon fly, stonefly type of fishery down there that we've had some very good fishing at in the past. But it's been a little hard to predict the last couple of years for whatever reason. But now would be a good time to check it out for the next like 15 days or so on the upper Klamath.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
NorCal, Northern California, I'm just going to lump it all together in this. Now is the time. It really, aside from in the fall, it really is the very best time to be fishing down there. You're going to see complex hatches, lots of different hatches happening all through the whole region there, from the upper Sacramento all the way through Hat Creek and Fall River, Pitt River, McLeod. There's just so much good fishing. Of course, nymphing is always a really good thing to do on those streams, and I could go on for hours about that, but now is a very good chance to be fishing dries. I think the McLeod below the reservoir, the wild trout section, I think that salmon fly, stonefly hatch should be rocking pretty good in the Audinaw section and just kind of working its way upstream. Might be even slightly on the early side. The upper Sacramento, if you press me, I would say the best dry fly fishing is going to be up in the Cantera section. So if you really want to do some dry fly fishing, that's where I would focus my efforts. You'll see some interesting hatches up there. You could see some green drakes, always small PMDs and things like that going on, and probably some stoneflies happening up there as well. I've seen golden stones up there as late as the first part of July, so that should be good in that section. But runoff should be really pretty much at the end of that, and the whole river should be pretty turned on at this point on the upper Sacramento and just on down the line down there. So if you've got a chance, if you're from Southern Oregon or Central Oregon, and you want to explore some new water, I really encourage you to check that stuff out down there. It's really, really worth doing. A place we've always enjoyed fishing in Northern California. Last but not least, the North Umpqua. It's time to start thinking about going up there. I've had a couple of folks talking about going up there early and looking for some of those early fish, but it's the 1st of June, and there's probably a handful of early fish up there now as far as summer steelhead, some decent dry fly opportunities up there. People also kind of poke around for trout up there. I hear that a little bit more every year, but this would be probably a pretty good time to do that. Probably some golden stones and stuff like that out there at this point. So you can kind of do a double duty trip, maybe look for an early summer steelhead swinging a fly, and then looking for some trout on a salmon fly, in the evenings or something. But such a beautiful, wonderful place. Always a good place to go. But it does see a kind of an early push. Fish is a very, very early end, but it still would be something to consider heading up to the North Umpqua.
Is he crazy?
So that's what's happening in our region. We're still in the very thick of salmon fly madness, and it's hard to get our head out of it, and we've been really having a great time. We do have this next week. I know I have some open seats and boats and stuff. I'd love to get you guys on the river, do some fishing if you want to do a half-day trip with us up there. It's really worth doing. Otherwise, please feel free to give us a call. We'll fill you in on all the current details, suggest some great flies and all that. We really appreciate you watching as usual, and we'll see you out there.